No, you don't have to say those words again. Oh no, and you don't have to. No, you don't have to go and explain yourself, 'cause I ain't gonna listen. Yeah, all you wanted was a souvenir to remember it all. Yeah, you tore it apart down to every last piece. Yeah, a souvenir, another story to tell. And I gotta know how to find happiness in the wrong place. 'Cause it never ends, it's there in all ways. It's evident you never change for our sake. Maybe I can't trust it. We're falling now. Your little black book ran out of pages. Just take it, baby, just take it. You don't have to. No, you don't have to say those words again. You don't have to. You don't have to go and explain yourself, 'cause I ain't gonna listen. Yeah, all you wanted was a souvenir to remember the fall. To go and tell your friends you were there for it all. A souvenir, just a little postcard for the road. And I just gotta know how to find happiness in the wrong place. 'Cause it never ends, it's there in all ways. It's evident you never change for our sake. We're falling now. Your little black book ran out of pages. 'Cause if you're gonna take it all, then baby, don't waste it. You only want it if you know you're gonna break it. Just another souvenir for the taking. Just take it, baby, just take it. Just another souvenir for the road. That's the way it goes. Just take it, baby, just take it.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to STN for yet again another round of the FTF Saturday Night Super Speedway League, except it is run on Fridays. We are back, and we are getting this season kicked off right here at the Talladega Super Speedway. Blake McCandless alongside Taylor Burris up here in the booth. We just saw our heat races, and we'll get going in just a couple of moments. Have a little bit of a 5-minute warm-up session for before tonight's running of the Epic Embed Fail 300, presented by Ethan Quarter and the Buffer Zone. So, Taylor, welcome you in, and it's nice to be back doing some more Saturday Night Super Speedway League, except it's on Fridays racing here at FTF.
I was getting ready to say, yeah, it's more like Friday night Super Speedway racing here tonight, Blake, but we are looking forward to another great season of FTF racing. Of course, kicking off at one of the biggest tracks in the NASCAR circuit here at Talladega Super Speedway, with a lot of great racing that's going to be happening here. Even though there's only 20 cars out there on the field tonight, it's still going to provide some great racing action from start to finish for all 70 laps. A little bit of fuel strategy could come into play as well here tonight if we have a good green flag run.
That will certainly be the case, and with it being 70 laps for our feature event, of course, the possibility for fuel mileage to come into play with that length, if we were to go green for the entire distance. We might not. It depends on kind of what you were talking about, having 20 cars in the field. You have some drivers that have been driving around each other for a long time, so could lend itself to maybe get to take things a little easy the first half of the race or so before we really get going here. But also, one thing we have to talk about, the draft package that is being utilized here tonight. We're running the NASCAR Cup Series cars, the current Gen 6, and with that is an updated draft package that came out just a couple of months ago, the last time they were at Talladega in real life, and we still have that draft package today, Taylor. So talk about that and what these drivers need to look for to try to work their way through the field.
Well, the biggest thing that these cars are going to have to realize is controlling the car behind them. These cars are a lot of momentum-based cars here with this new draft package. So they're going to have to realize and work with the car behind them in order to try to get the best possible run for them. It's very difficult to kind of slingshot around competitors like it used to be with older packages in the iRacing service or older cars. Now, the track is here with this racing is if you can get a good push from someone, you can get great runs. But also, that causes an issue for those who are leading these packs to where they could think they could block the run by getting in front of another car. So they have to be careful, listen to their spotters in order to try and come home with a win here tonight.
That is something they will definitely have to work on. Of course, with that, you think of the car behind you. You have to work somewhat in tandem with the car that is also beside you. That side draft has become a big part of racing here at Talladega, and how to use it, when to use it. And unfortunately, when you're sucked on back, it's not so much fun. So that is one thing that all of these drivers will have to manage. We did run a heat race that will determine all but the front row of this race. It was 10 laps, ran just a couple of minutes ago and concluded. It was Tristan Hagenstein that won that. But Taylor, we had a tie for the pole award, and this has kind of been commonplace in Saturday Night Super Speedway League action, is that the front row is set by qualifying times. The rest of the field, their spots determined by finishing position in a heat. We had a tie, 52.084 for Andrew Cardcastle and Tyler O'Neill that took the top two spots.
It just shows how competitive this series is there, Blake. With those two tied for the front row, it's just going to make this whole ordeal even more interesting.
It certainly will. As we kind of work through the last couple of moments here of warm-up, you could see some two-car tandems going on. That is something that is possible in this package, but it is very difficult to try and get right. You get that car in front of you very loose. You see them working down the Alabama gang super stretch with just about 10 seconds left in warm-up time. So we'll wrap this up and get ready for 70 laps here at Talladega tonight. FTF action back, or at least coming back here in the middle of the dead heat of summer. So warm-up is over, and you'll see everybody likewise destroy their cars, as we are just going to take a look at the starting grid for tonight's running at Talladega. Here in the failed embed 300. It's going to be Andrew Hardcastle who's going to start on pole tonight in the number 20 machine. You see the tie right there on your screen, 52.084, at least down to the 3 decimal places. We imagine that probably goes further and gives that to Andrew Hardcastle, but he and Tyler O'Neill will make up row number 1. Tristan Hagenstein, Jack Painter will make up row number 2. Michael Frisch will start in 5th. Sean Butler in 6th. Garrett Conrath in 7th. Jacob Hitz, we've seen him in the broadcast booth. We get to see him behind the wheel tonight. He'll start in the 8th position. At 9th, we'll go to Dylan Nadwandny, and 10th is Mike Campbell.
Brian Naraki will be starting in the 11th position, followed by our in-race reporter in that eracers.gg Roval Series Toyota Camry. Joshua Mendoza will have him come up here later on during the race in the 12th position. Ethan Corter will be starting in 13th, followed by Kevin McAdams in the 14th spot. Stephen Whitman will be starting in 15th, followed by Justin Malillo, who, of course, is a big name in the world of iRacing, as he's one of the many sim racing reporters and broadcasters. He'll be starting in the 16th spot. Clint Roberts starting in 17th, followed by Tyler Williams in 18th. Lucas Palesi will be starting in 19th, and Kyle Riley riding shotgun in 20th place.
And again, those are the 20 cars that will be contesting this race here tonight. And you know what? We talked about in-race reporter. Let's go ahead and talk to our guy that we were going to say is our in-race reporter. Josh Mendoza, usually up in the tower behind the wheel of that race car. What are you feeling tonight, Josh?
I'm feeling like tonight's going to be a fun night. We got 20 great race car drivers out here. Going to go 70 great laps around Talladega. Just try to ride it out, hopefully not get caught up in an early yellow, and see where we're at towards the end.
Now, I noticed the new livery on your car, that 77 Toyota, the E-Racer Roval Series. Tell us a little bit about that before we get going green.
Yeah, the E-Racer Roval Racing Series is a series featuring kind of unused or underloved Roval racetracks on the iRacing service. And it's a multi-class racing series with the Cup, Xfinity, and trucks. Going to be every Saturday night at 7 p.m. People like Casey Kerwin, David Schildhouse, some big names out there are going to be participating in it. So definitely worth watching. If you haven't heard about it, it's not too late to go and watch them. They're going to be on twitch.tv/eracer_GG, as you see on my hood.
It is going to be there. Well, Josh, we'll let you focus on what's ahead of you. Good luck tonight.
Appreciate it, Blake.
And that is Josh Mendoza. Again, he is known as Race Control Jesus in some circles at E-Racer, and he finally gets to get behind the wheel and see if he can inflict the same misery that we inflict on him all the time. So the iRacing.com pace car in just a couple of moments going to pull to the safety of pit road. It is Andrew Hardcastle and Tyler O'Neill in that Skittles Toyota that will make up the front row. A pair of Fords directly behind him, and Tristan Hagenstein and Jack Painter. So glad to have you with us tonight here on STN as we get going through the Tri-Oval in just a couple of moments. These drivers that are right at 70 miles an hour will get up to full song as the green flag is out and we are racing here at Talladega.
Cars getting up to speed as they work their way through turns 1 and 2 as they rocket down the Alabama Gang the back straightaway here. You see the battle for the race lead between Hardcastle and Hagenstein as we see the pushes coming from Pater as well as Tyler O'Neill, who is leading that pack of the cars as they head down towards into turns 3 and 4. The 27 of Tristan Hagenstein still trying to give a push to the 20 of Hardcastle out of turn number 4. It's a drag race down the front straightaway.
It is, and we see Sean Butler. He's going to split the two cars, put Jack Painter in the middle. Michael Frisch is going to abandon Hagenstein and Hardcastle. So Hardcastle starts from the lead, leaves lap 1, but they're going to be 3 wide for the race lead. Sean Butler with plenty of help on the high side. Tyler O'Neill in the middle, and all of a sudden Hardcastle, not a ton of help with him. They'll get off at 2, still 3 abreast for the lead.
It's 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 as they work down the back straightaway here. Sean Butler will take over the race lead in that number 32 with help from Jacob Hitz in the 74. Tyler O'Neill drops to the bottom of the racetrack with help from Jack Painter as they now slide right in front of the 20 of Andrew Hardcastle, now dropping it down to 2 lanes of racing. As now we see Tyler O'Neill with a head of steam. Here comes Hardcastle. He'll switch over to the middle lane as they head through the Tri-Oval.
And you see Jack Painter right there, left to dry. He'll lose a spot as Andrew Hardcastle will come charging back in through the middle line. Not exactly what I thought we would see, Jacob. Just 2 laps into a 70-lap race. I was wondering how aggressive everybody was going to get. We've seen a lot of times in this package, everybody willing to play it calm, single file it out, and kind of ride in line, but that has not been the case. O'Neill right now, your leader, side by side. Pretty much they've now formed 2 wide throughout the pack. back as O'Neal will go back down to the bottom. He'll get a shove from the 18 of Jack Painter. But now you see that bottom line and that middle line working strong here at Talladega.
Well, I got to say, Jacob Hitz has fallen back to the 18th spot. He saw some chaos happening, so he decides to think better of it, drop back to the 18th spot, 19th spot now. But right now, it is Tyler O'Neal leading on point right here, trying to hold off both lanes of cars as they work down the front straightaway. He'll now get in front of the 20 of Andrew Hardcastle. Hardcastle will go to the top side of the racetrack with help from Tristan Hagenstein, and that will send O'Neal right down the middle, split all the way around as he will drop all the way to the back of the pack.
A horrible spot to be in for O'Neal. No help. You're getting side drafted everywhere. And in one lap, O'Neal will go from leading this race all the way to the very tail end of the field. Now, it isn't all for naught for Tyler O'Neal. He can regroup, go back up, and try to get in the fight. There is also mentioning we have different point structures here in this series, one of which being the runner of the fastest lap will get some bonus points in this race. So perhaps early on in this race, it's a good time to maybe drop back, build up some momentum, and maybe go after that fastest lap for a couple of trips around here at Talladega before we settle things out and really hand the points out at the end of this race. But it seems like we've settled out a little bit. Your top 5 all single file with Jack Painter right now, your race leader. Ryan Naraki, the end of that train, but that second lane back there still trying to make something work. But that very bottom of the racetrack right now, Taylor, looking awfully strong.
It certainly is, but just as we say that, here goes Garrett Conrad to the top side of the racetrack. He has help from Ethan Corder, who will slot there in the second position, no pun intended, as they head down through turns 3 and 4. And now we have a new race leader, Garrett Conrad, with Ethan Corder right there giving him the push as they work down the front straightaway here. Here comes a big run right here as it's Ford versus Chevrolet. And then, of course, throw in the Ford of Jack Painter in his Ford as they come across the finish line.
Your front 4 there organized on the bottom. However, Ryan Naraki trying to get something working there. A 2-car tandem with Kyle Riley. But right now just not able to lock and latch onto the rear bumper of the 37 Ford Mustang to try and get that momentum going. Now you see here down the back straightaway still sideways is Kyle Riley trying to get all square with Naraki. But as they have sorted that out, many dropping down to the bottom. Andrew Hardcastle, Josh Mendoza, all looking to go to the bottom of the racetrack as now there's 4, now 5 cars, now 6, trying to make that second lane work back there.
They might be able to get it running right now since there's a little bit of a gap between Group 1 on the inside lane and Group 2 on the inside lane as they're a little bit not as organized as they work their way up. They now are getting ready to pass the 20 of Andrew Hardcastle for that 7th position now and set their sights on the 45 of Lucas as they work through turns 1 and 2. But now the inside lane, since it's the shortest way around this circuit and the fastest way around this circuit, it's a little bit more difficult for them to, as long as they do not stay organized. They're trying to side draft a little bit right now with Hardcastle as they go right up to against the wall down the back straightaway.
Well, speaking of side draft, you look way back, there is a pack that is formed well off the pace of where they're running right here, about 3 seconds back. Dylan Adwandi, Jacob Hitz, Michael Campbell, Tyler Williams, and Justin Malillo have finally gotten where they were somewhat organized, but Taylor, they were battling, they were going side by side. They slowed each other down enough that now they have lost all that speed that the lead draft has. So without a caution or without something happening there up front, there's about 5 drivers here who either need to form up or find some way to get back up there because they have lost a ton of ground battling each other back here for 16th.
Certainly indeed, and that's going to be a big issue for those drivers who are 16th on back. They got to try to find a way to stay a little bit more organized in order to have a shot of catching up to the lead pack here as they work their way down into turns 3 and 4. Garrett Conrad, still your race leader with Ethan Corder in second. Jack Painter is in that 3rd spot looking throughout the field right now. A couple of other drivers right now. Tyler O'Neal is now back up inside the top 10 after getting around Kyle Riley and Michael Frisch, as he will now try to stay on that inside line while Hagenstein Hardcastle along with looks like the 45 of Lucas will go to the outside lane.
At 45 leading the charge there on the outside, just not having quite enough momentum with him. And now Frisch isn't going to help matters as he's going to side draft Hardcastle behind him. And that's going to put them in kind of what's the sucker hole here, the middle of 3 wide. Not a good place to be when you're pack racing here because you get the side draft really from both angles as the 45 will fall back a couple of spots. But we see Sean Butler, he is very adamant. He's very vocal. He wants to make that top side work. He has some good help in Michael Frisch and looks like Kevin McAdams to try and make that happen. So we'll see if these 3 cars can try to make something work as they fall to the back of this lead pack.
I think the biggest problem right now, why nobody's wanting to go work that outside lane now, is now we're trying to get into a cycle. We just completed lap number 9 on lap number 10, so when they come to the line, it'll be 60 laps to go. I think drivers are now trying to just take care of their equipment now, and just as I say that, Tyler O'Neill will go right on that yellow line to push the 37 of Naraki up to the top side, who will get a push from Kyle Riley down the back straightaway here. So this will allow Tyler O'Neill to slot back into 6th position. But for right now, some of these drivers, especially your top 4, are just trying to ride it out and get to the first pit stop.
That is their goal, and I was amazed that when Tyler O'Neill, or excuse me, that wasn't O'Neill, that was Naraki, is one car spinning into pit lane. That is Clint Roberts. I believe he's going to keep it off the racing surface so that it will not warrant a caution flag. But Clint Roberts, loose off of turn 4, got a bad bump, I believe, from Tyler O'Neill as he was checking up to try and stay in line. That Kentucky Chevrolet gets a little bit of damage. He's going to come down and use that fast repair, I believe, to try to get back onto the track, and indeed he will take some service. But they are duking it out more than I thought they would. I was figuring that we would see a lot of single file, but when we talked about it, Taylor, you got to have help behind you. When Kyle Riley, when Ryan Naraki been out of line, they had help go with them, and I think that's why you've seen them go side by side here around the 7th position.
Certainly the case right now. And speaking of, Kyle O'Reilly's got a head of steam right now as he gets a big push from the 45 of Lucas. They're going to go to the outside lane, and now that'll allow Garrett Conrath. He stepped way out of line right now as he'll go to the top side of the racetrack. That'll give the position to Ethan Quarter as he will take over the race lead. As I don't know why Conrath is dropping back, unless he's wanting to try strategy.
Well, Conrath looked to poke out, and I'm surprised he didn't try to use that side draft a little bit more. He went all the way to the top side of the racetrack, perhaps looking to regroup with a bigger run, but didn't quite work out for him. He falls back a couple of positions, and now with all this stagnation, everybody all out of sorts, not really organized, that top line, Tyler O'Neill, Josh Mendoza, what a great head of steam that they had as they approached that lap traffic of Clint Roberts. Here comes Kyle Riley. He'll duck back down to the bottom of the racetrack. He'll go for the race lead, but not so fast. Side drafting and trying to keep it is the 818, and oh man, what a move from Tyler O'Neill to the top side. 3 wide for the lead.
Joshua Mendoza will follow. Contact is made between Lucas and Jack Painter as they'll go 3 wide, 2 rows deep off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway here. And let's see what happens as they now see Tyler O'Neill. He'll slide right in front of Ethan Quarter. Quarter will give him a push down the back straightaway. O'Neill tries to hold on for dear life as they both go to the bottom of the racetrack. That will now leave the 62 of Kyle Riley leading one lane. Josh Mendoza right on the top side of the racetrack. And then you have the 45 of Lucas Belows, who's leading that middle group with help from the 26 of Kevin McAdam.
And right now the 45 right into Ethan Quarter. As Quarter, what a great block for the 45. That's going to give him the lead at the stripe. So O'Neill does not lead that last time around, which of course start-finish line here at Talladega. Might as well go ahead and say it now. We'll pass it 70 times tonight, but we'll just go ahead and remind you now that start-finish line all the way towards turn 1, not in the tri-oval. And right now, Ethan Quarter, that second line, huge momentum, but McAdam's going to step out of line. Mendoza will clear to the bottom. He'll clear himself in front of Tyler O'Neill, so he slots himself in as the third car on that inside line. But that kind of single file that we thought we might see, certainly not happening now. Quarter in control, and Lucas Plussel might try to make a move by.
Certainly the case right now, as all of that organization, that quietness, that went out the window a few laps ago when we saw Garrett Conrath decide to go a little bit too wide here as he went through the straightaway heading into turns 1 and 2. But as they now head into turns 1 and 2 now, completing lap 14 on lap 15 here. Quarter leads right now, and a quiet little run for him as they work their way through. You'll see Josh Mendoza thinking about stepping out of line with help from Tyler O'Neill. He wants to try to lead this race, but does not have the momentum he needs in order to get around Ethan Quarter.
As we see Ethan Quarter leading here at Talladega, I would want to remind you that it is time to go eco racing in the trucks this August with a unique 3-race-a-night format. Season 0 guaranteed to provide non-stop action and excitement throughout the entire month of August. You can sign up today at ecoracingseries.com. That is ecoracingseries.com, and watch the first week at Daytona, August 4th, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Puffer Zone Network. A new league that Ethan Quarter is putting together, so if you want to sign up, you are more than welcome to do so. And given that new series some airtime here tonight, leading here at Talladega, as they have mostly sorted themselves out single file. I say that, and of course Kyle Riley will step out of line and try to make a battle there for fourth, but right now the Eco car is running at 1-2.
Certainly is, as they work their way through. And then, of course, another racing league that we just talked about with Joshua Mendoza and the E-Racer. So it looks like the racing league sponsored cars are up towards the front of the field. Here comes Tyler O'Neill in the Skittles car. He'll get to the inside of Joshua Mendoza as Mendoza's out on the outside lane. Unfortunately, he's now getting swallowed up by the 3-car of Stephen Whitman in the Outback Chevrolet, as he'll fall back even more all the way to the tail end of the longest line.
Well, and that's one case in which Mendoza thought that he was going to have that help from Tyler O'Neill. O'Neill looked like, hey, buddy, I'll follow you. And then at the last second, O'Neill tucks back in line and says, well, thank you very much, and just gained one spot out of that move. And, of course, with Mendoza, you have to have help. You have to have friends to make those moves. You see he has to regroup it way at the back of this pack. He falls all the way to 14th place. Now, that pack that is further back, that 5-car line, they are still, Taylor, losing time to this front group. They are now about 5 seconds back of this lead pack. So as much as maybe they want to work together, for whatever reason, it is not working out, whether 5 cars are slower, despite the fact that they are battling up here. Campbell, Nadwani, every driver, they are not making up any time, and there's nothing that they can really do about it.
They could be trying to save fuel as well there, Blake, and trying to see if they could be able to stretch it out and go a little further compared to the rest of the field right now. So that could be a possibility to keep in mind, but for the most part, yeah, they are struggling.
Hard for them, as Melillo probably in the worst position. Nobody behind him to push him forward, so he's just hanging on for dear life, trying to catch up and make the most of it. As you see the second lane starting to form, a nice little 2-car tandem shaping up right here between Ryan Naraki and Kyle Riley. O'Neill sees that coming, and he's going to make that move for second. So he pokes the outside of Lucas Plussel with that side draft, and he saw the momentum building. He's going to try to take advantage of it as he goes right down, side drafts tight with the 45, tries to pull him backwards. Plussel will make a 2-car tandem of his own up front, keep Ethan Quarter in the race lead for the time being.
Good work by the 2 Puffer Zone teammates as they work through turns 3 and 4. Tyler O'Neill determining whether to go to the inside lane or stay in the top side lane to keep Kyle Riley up there as they now work their way through the tri-oval. They're just right there on that rear quarter panel of the 45 of Lucas as they'll now go side by side. Quarter will now drop to the top side of or go up to the top side of the racetrack, then drop down to the bottom. That will now allow the opportunity for Tyler O'Neill to get out in front for just a brief moment as they work their way out of turn 2 down the back straightaway here. We'll see if he's able to drop down or not. He's going to get another big push from Kyle Riley in the 62.
Indeed, a huge push will shove him a couple of car lengths ahead of that battle for third, and O'Neill, kind of a masterclass right there of exactly what to do. Not to sound too much like Dale Jr., but you want to get right to that right rear quarter panel and just pull that driver beside you back, and O'Neill did a great job of that, had the momentum and the help behind him, and that is how you get up and work it to the race lead. And you'll see Quarter do the exact same to Kyle Riley behind him. O'Neill goes high to block. Quarter, where's he going to go? He's going to get right to that right rear quarter panel, at least thought to. Wasn't able to quite get there, so he'll have to settle in line. And I think these drivers, as they go on in this race, Taylor, they are learning how to make these moves and who they can trust, who they can, as Riley peeks the nose out for just a moment.
It's all about finding the right partner to dance with when it comes to the end of this race here tonight, Blake. Finding those drivers that you want to work with, finding the ones that you don't want to work with, or finding the one that you feel like you can beat coming to the checker flag. That's what you need to do when it comes to racing here at Super Speedways, is learning about each and every single driver here in this race in order to come out on something. As we see Naraki go below the yellow line, goes side by side with the 3 of Stephen Whitman, who will get help from the 9 of Garrett Conrad as they rocket down the front straightaway heading into turn 1.
Right now, Tyler O'Neill, your leader here at Talladega. Ethan Quarter, Kyle Riley, Ryan Naraki, and Stephen Whitman, your top 5. For just a moment, we'll go side by side so you won't miss a thing as we'll continue with live flag-to-flag coverage here for the FTF Saturday Night Super Speedway League. With you here from the Talladega Super Speedway, where you look out and see the number 99 Skittles Toyota up at the front of the field. It is Tyler O'Neill who is showing the way here at Talladega. Blake McCandless, Taylor Burris on the call with you here on STN, where we will continue to bring you Friday night Super Speedway League action. I guess Saturday Night Super Speedway League is, we have trouble on the inside. One car spun on the apron. It is Tristan Hagenstein who has backed it into the inside retaining wall. He'll look to get going here on the apron. No caution yet. And I think Hagenstein, who is your reigning champion in this series, experiencing another bad bump draft there on the back straightaway.
That's one of the difficulties when it comes to racing here at Talladega. You got to make sure you line up the bumpers properly in order to come out with a good bump draft in order to gain positions or gain times on your competitors. One bad bump can send you around, like we saw with Clint Roberts along with Tristan Hagenstein, who we just saw a few seconds ago. But right now, everyone's single file pretty much for your top 10, actually probably your top 12, as they see Jack Painter right there in that 12th position as they come down the back straightaway.
Now, that is something there where in this series in the past, we have not had a yellow line rule coming into play. So Hagenstein looking to the inside there of Hardcastle and making contact. There is no yellow line rule in this series. There is still no yellow line rule in the series. So there is no out of bounds. You can go anywhere you want to try and make a move. But unfortunately for Tristan Hagenstein, spins him in a position where a caution does not come out. And that will continue to strain bring out this field. It's the top 12 on the lead lap, as well as the 13th car in Clint Roberts, who has currently scored 1 lap down, the cars that are leading this lead pack. Of course, you see Hardcastle falling back into the clutches of the battle for 14th. But for the most part, Taylor, pretty single file, and this is what we thought we would see at some point, especially with the fact that we may have pit stops that come into play here in just a little bit.
Yeah, we were talking that we could see pit stops around anywhere between lap 35 to 37 here. So we'll have to see who is going to be able to save their fuel in order to do that. Drivers who are leading this, like Tyler O'Neill, they are the ones who are going to have to come down pit road first. But for drivers like Garrett Conrath, Stephen Whitman, Michael Frisch, Sean Butler, they're in that middle pack. They are getting a little bit of a pull from the car in front of them, as well as a push from the car behind them. So that means they can let off the throttle a little bit, go maybe instead of 100% on the throttle, maybe 80% or 75%, maybe even 70% on the throttle, in order to still maintain momentum as well as saving fuel when racing under these conditions, unlike Tyler O'Neill, who's on the throttle 100%.
Well, I remember crew chiefing for James Davison in the NASCAR Pro Invitational Series all the way back at Talladega. It was several months ago. But remember leading that race and knowing that we were at a disadvantage when it came to fuel mileage. It was about 35 laps then. It's anywhere between 35 and 36 on how long these drivers can go on fuel. So assuming that we might see this thing out green or just having to plan for that, you're going to have to go right up to the edge of where you can fill these cars up on fuel to get to the end, assuming we would go green. So for Tyler O'Neill, perhaps not the best position to be in. He's obviously leading this race, but you're going to get a little bit less fuel mileage up there when you're obviously taking all that clean air rather than the draft and getting a little bit of a tow around Talladega.
The biggest thing also to consider is if they pit at lap 35, that's the halfway point of tonight's race. So that means if they pit then and they only have 35 laps of fuel, that means they have to make sure they have enough to get them to that checkered flag. They may have enough to get them around through the tri-oval, but then they run out of fuel coming to that checkered flag. So they have to make sure they get the calculations as well as get on pit road at the absolute latest possible time. So we should be seeing that here anywhere between the next 5 to 6 laps before we see someone come down pit road.
We'll have to see exactly what these teams do. And obviously, there's a little bit of coordination that has to come into picture right now. You don't want to enter pit road all by yourself, clearly. But you have to coordinate. You have to come down pit road, or you would like to come down and make a green flag pit stop with a group of cars rather than all by yourself. And I have to imagine with how they are pushing it on fuel, that may be the case. But one thing I'm noticing these last couple of laps, Taylor, and I think what you were saying about saving fuel is true. Tyler O'Neill last lap, 50.726 was his last lap time. They've slowed down nearly a second. That second pack, well, they're not saving as much. They are running this pack down. They're running 50.1. So perhaps what you were saying a little bit earlier about this pack behind them may have just been biding their time, saving fuel. That may be the case because they are faster right now than the lead pack.
Yeah, the lead pack went to a 51.139 for your race leader, Tyler O'Neill. So they lost a second in lap times right now as we keep an eye on that battle for the 14th position right now. And 13th ad is currently held by Dylan Nwandi and Mike Campbell. They're trying to get themselves reorganized and closed down. They're now 3.4 seconds, 3.3 seconds, catching up to the tail end of the pack that's held by Jack Painter as they come across the start-finish line right now. Taking a look at timing and scoring, it's a 51.5 for your top 10, a 50.39 for 13th on back. So yes, they have gained at least a second to 1.1 seconds on the rest of the field.
Man, that is amazing. And, you know, remember back, we saw it on STN a couple of months ago as well. The NASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series visited Talladega in round number 1. It was the exact same length. 70 laps was the length of that race. And guess what? it was a fuel mileage race. So that is what we are hearing from a lot of radios, including Sean Butler, is that this is turning into a fuel mileage race here at Talladega, which I don't know. That's interesting. We don't usually see that at a super speedway, but that is what everybody is kind of realizing, is that if we can't make it to the end, we got to save a little bit.
Yeah, it certainly is. We'll see what happens as they work their way through. Currently, Tyler O'Neill stretched his gap out by about a tenth over Ethan Quarter, as well as they work down the back straightaway here. Kyle Riley is trying to make sure he stays right there as he can in order to stay in the slipstream, but for the rest of the field, they're starting to separate just a little bit from each other right now. They're starting to get the bunch back up as they come off of turn number 4, but very close racing right now, lined up nose to tail. As we see one car step out of line, that's Garrett Conrad. He's going to get help from Steve Whitman as they come down the front straightaway across the start-finish line. He'll also get help from Michael Frisch. So 3 cars now trying to go to the top side of the racetrack.
The one car you saw entering pit road, that was Tyler Williams. And you'd have to imagine on lap 33, not going to be able to make it to the end on just this pit stop. So we'll have to see who else is going to follow in the next couple of laps. Tyler O'Neill, Ethan Quarter pulling away with the 2-car tandem working as they're clear about 5 car lengths or so ahead of that pack. And we're hearing some calls on the radio. We may see a couple of more drivers make their way down to pit lane, and that is the case. Tyler O'Neill, the race leader, in a bad spot. We talked about how much worse the fuel mileage was being the lead car. You see it right there, O'Neill on pit road, and he has no takers with him.
It looks like he might have one driver with him, the 91 of Dylan Nawandi. So he will have one person drafting with him, but that's the problem. He's not going to have a whole lot of help once they get back going. Garrett Conrad stuck on the outside lane as they now work down the back straightaway, catching up to the back bumper of Tristan Hagenstein, who does have that damage from earlier, as they're also catching up to Tyler Williams, who just came off pit road.
Couple of cars making their way off of pit road. Have to imagine that this time by is halfway through this race. I would not be surprised if we saw a majority of the field coming down pit road this time by. You see only one right now out of this lead pack. That's Ethan Quarter, who's going to make his way down. More to come with Stephen Whitman, Tristan Hagenstein. Lucas Plussel has made his way in. Mike Campbell also into pit road. You see a little bit of damage on the nose of that 23 Chevrolet. He gets it into the fence on the left front. So not a smooth pit road entry, but everybody else here, Taylor, may be in a decent position. If they can make one more lap and make it to pit road, they may not have to save as much fuel as these drivers that are just coming down pit road right now.
Yeah, for what those drivers who just came down pit road, they are going to be right on the bubble when they come to the checkered flag. Now, for drivers like Kyle Riley, Ryan Noraki, Sean Butler, if they've saved enough fuel, they might have one lap to the good here if they're going to stay out. Looks like Kyle Riley's coming in. Noraki, Butler, Frisch, all of them. Actually, Garrett Conrad choosing to stay out, but he is by his lonesome. So that's a big, big gamble right there.
Yeah, that is a really tough call if you're Garrett Conrad. Now, he's not going to have to worry about saving fuel, but he is losing a ton of time running by himself. He's all the way down to 182 miles an hour by himself. Now, he does have a little bit of draft that he's going to pick up here. Mike Campbell making his way off of pit road. Jacob Hitz as well. But certainly losing time. We'll have to see if he's able to latch onto the pack. Now, if he does, guess what? He just saved a lap of fuel over the rest of the field. So that would work in his favor, no doubt, as you see much of the field coming off of pit road right now. Looks like Josh Mendoza, the second car in line right now, as Mendoza is slow on the apron.
He certainly did. He's out of fuel. He missed his pit buck, so that means he's pretty much going to have to try and find a way to get to pit road right now without having to get a tow, which is going to be very difficult for him right now. But let's keep an eye on our race leader, Garrett Conrad. He's just now coming off getting on pit road. He's getting tires. He's getting the fuel he needs. As we keep an eye on our new race leader, that should be our race leader here momentarily, Stephen Whitman in the number 3, as he'll lead the field off of turn number 4.
Man, what a costly mistake that will be for Josh Mendoza. Misses his pit stall. You saw him enter in about the 5th stall. He thought he was starting there. Missed it, decided to drive through pit road, and unfortunately for him, sputtering around this racetrack. So he'll need a prayer here or something to happen for him to get back on the lead lap, or even just to get back around to pit road. That car is still sputtering at about 45 miles an hour on the apron. You can see him trying to shake it around, see if he can get any of that fuel to wiggle around in that fuel cell. And obviously, you know, the one thing, Jacob, is you overshoot your pit stall once. That's not good. If you're out of fuel and you overshoot your pit stall, guess what? You can't even go in reverse to back up, so you have to take a tow backwards here in the iRacing service. So for Mendoza, he can make a bad situation worse if he overshoots his pit stall once again.
Well, Jacob's out on the track there, Blake, but we'll get this going. But look at Garrett Conrath right now. He was able, even though he's no longer leading this race, he was able to get to the tail end of this pack of 4 cars, now being that 5th car in line here at Talladega. So he has a good shot, didn't lose too much time on his competition.
No, he didn't. So that call ends up being a benefit, as now he has saved an entire lap of fuel over the rest of the field. And you can see 5 cars that have cycled out to be the leaders. And then all the way back to 10th, just right behind them, you have the lap car of Tristan Hagenstein in that pack as well. But the other thing that you can do here, Taylor, if you are Garrett Conrath, is you have a lap better on fuel. Guess what you can do to this lead pack that may want to kind of run in a single file line and just kind of, mind their own? You can turn the heat up a little bit on this front pack. You can make them race harder. You can make them use more fuel because you have that fuel in tow. You can try to push these guys hard and maybe run them out of gas.
You certainly can give them that little bit of a push that they need in order to keep on racing harder, as we see that happening right now as they go down the back straightaway here. Here comes Sean Butler, crosses over to the inside lane as he wants to lead this race. Him and Steve Whitman will battle it out. Whitman dives to the inside. Conrath tried to go to the inside, but saw Porter on his inside. He couldn't make it stick. He will now get a push from Kyle Riley in the 62 as they head down the front straightaway.
Exactly what you want to see if you're not a part of this pack, that they're racing hard and perhaps a caution could come out. It would throw fuel strategy completely out the window and allow these guys to really race it out. Naraki, contact with Quarter as Quarter gets in front of him to shove. Naraki will get stacked up with the 818. Riley dips down to the inside. I think all the gloves are off here in the final 30 laps here at Talladega. As Quarter across the nose of Naraki. He saves it. McAdams scatters low to miss it. So does Michael Frisch. They end up keeping it going straight forward. So still have yet to see a flying of the caution flag yet. But this may not be the case if we see much more of this, Taylor.
Certainly not the case here, but right now we're keeping it clean and green. Well, maybe not too clean because we have had a couple of incidents out on the racetrack. But look at this. We've had 7 different leaders, 11 different lead changes here since the start of today's race. So a great group of drivers gaining some needed bonus points in the championship here for tonight. Now we just got to find out who runs the fastest lap and who leads the most laps after tonight's race. And, of course, who wins this race is the biggest question.
Yeah, of course. Well, there's a lot of questions here. Of course, everybody who is leading tonight getting those 5 bonus points. Fastest lap will get 1 as well. You see Michael Frisch will settle back in as they go single file up here through about the top 10. Frisch will try to get back in line and catch these cars. You see the 2 more trying to latch onto this front pack. That was McAdams, who had that scary moment, as well as Lucas Plussel, who I think they sensed danger, and perhaps it was an intentional move to try and get back here. But nevertheless, they'll tandem and perhaps see if they can try to catch up to this lead pack.
Certainly so. We'll watch on as we see the race leader of Sean Butler in that Pennzoil-colored Ford Mustang. Down the back straightaway he'll go. Here comes Stephen Whitman in the 3. Takes a peek to the outside, then slots back in line as they work down the Alabama Gang super stretch. Here they go, all single file, your top 6. As they now see 3 cars go to the outside. That's going to be led, by the looks of it, by Kyle Riley. He'll get help from Ethan Quarter along with the 37 of Ryan Naraki. off of turn 4. Down the front straightaway, Kyle Riley gets into the 4th position after getting around the 27. That's the lap car of Tristan Hagenstein.
And Naraki trying to help there as the last car in line, but he'll lose a little bit of momentum. So as much as we saw that top line forms, all it really does is put Kyle Riley one spot further ahead. Now, mind you, he has Hagenstein to work with. Hagenstein is not on the lead lap. If a caution were to come out, he would be the lucky dog if he were not involved in the caution. So Hagenstein going to do anything in his power to try to get them to race up here because he wants to get back on the lead lap. Hagenstein will push Riley, I'm sure, with whatever he has just to try and get them to race up here, perhaps cause something as Riley, vicious side draft. You see right there, that's the best we've probably seen all night. He has no help, but doing all he can to try to pull back Jack Painter and the 818 of Ethan Corder.
Shot out of a cannon. Here comes Garrett Conrath and Michael Frisch as they work down the front straightaway here. They'll get around Kyle Riley on the top side of the racetrack. The Nexus Esports driver of Garrett will now get around the driver of the 30 or the 62 of Kyle Riley, now working to the outside of Ryan Noraki, who has help from the 27 of Tristan Hagenstein down the Alabama Gang super stretch. Now here comes Corder. He'll dive out to that outside lane. Big checkup for those drivers. That's going to cost them valuable positions and time as Corder drops them back behind the race leaders along with the 37 of Ryan Noraki.
I think the one thing we've seen from when drivers are able to make that second lane work is you have to use that side draft. You see Corder doing a good job of it right there as they start to work into the tri-oval. Hanging right on the right rear quarter panel of Kyle Riley, you can see how much that moves him back as Corder experienced a little connection issue. Now he returns. That could have been perhaps a situation where our first caution could have come out. Hearing calls over the radio, there's some debris in turn 3 from Mike Campbell as he may get caught here. I believe he's a single car. Now that is Tyler Williams. It's about 3.5 seconds ahead of this lead pack. Campbell right now running through the tri-oval, as you just saw. I'm sure there's a lot of drivers that wish there was some debris somewhere out on this racetrack, Taylor.
I'm pretty sure they're trying to throw their water bottles that they might have beside their sim rig and think that's the debris that caution that they need.
Riley turned around. That may be the wreck that they need. Conrath is around. Kyle Riley parked in the middle, and that will be it. First caution flag of the evening. Kyle Riley, Garrett Conrath, a bump gone wrong. Riley gets turned hard into the outside wall. Conrath gets a little bit of damage as well, and that will shake things up here. Caution is out. Fuel mileage now out the window, and we'll re-rack and restack and see what exactly happened here on the bar visuals replay.
Yeah, let's take a look here. Here's Garrett Conrath and Kyle Riley on the outside lane. They also have Michael Frisch behind them. Looks like Hagenstein tries to get up, and then there's the bad bump. You'll see right there, sending Kyle Riley around. Garrett Conrath makes hard contact to the outside wall as well, as those are the only two drivers involved in this first caution of the night here on lap 47.
First caution here late in the going. We will have some quick cautions here. I don't imagine we'll go too many laps around here at Talladega. I would think with the situation now, everybody would come down and make sure that with any green-white checkers, they would be good to go on fuel. So you have to imagine most of the lead lap cars will come down pit road this time. Tristan Hagenstein will be the lucky dog. Clint Roberts, I'm sure, remember, he was the Kentucky Chevrolet that's got spun early on in this race. A caution did not come out. He's hoping that everybody stays out so that he can get the wave around. And we'll see if that's the case. And no, Steven Whitman from the second position, Taylor, stays out. Hagenstein will get the free pass, but unfortunately, Roberts not able to get back on the lead lap. Hardcastle not able to get one lap down, or Mendoza too. So that is a strategy call if you are Steven Whitman, is to try and keep more cars trapped a lap down. We'll see if it works out for him. It won't make you it won't make you very many friends, but it is a strategy call.
The question, though, I have to ask is he just out there, though, to get that one lap led? Because I don't think has he led a lap in this race.
That is also the case. So perhaps when they come back around, we may see Whitman drop down onto pit road. Again, it is 5 bonus points for leading just a single lap. We're running kind of old Nextel points system, I guess I'll call it. 185 to win, 5 to leading a lap, another 5 to leading the most laps, and then of course, as we mentioned earlier, 3 extra bonus points if you get the fastest lap of the race. So we'll see what Whitman's going to do here. I'm sure Clint Roberts, Hardcastle, Mendoza, they're hoping for one thing. They hope he takes his happy little race car down pit road so they can get back onto the lead lap, or at least have a chance to get closer to that.
For those of you who are wondering who might have the fastest lap of the race, that currently goes to the 37 of Ryan Naraki with a 48.835, absolutely flying around here in the draft here at Talladega Superspeedway. So that's currently your fastest lap of the race right now. Lap leader, we're still going to get a number on probably later on in the race here, but I believe it has to probably go either to the 818 of Ethan Quarter, or I would have to probably even think of course, the number 9 of Garrett Conrath might be one of the competitors of leading the most laps.
We'll have to see how it all shakes out, and we'll see the decision that comes here from Steven Whitman, whether or not he's going to take his Outback Chevrolet down pit road or not. That's pretty much the only question that could, I guess, shake things up a little bit here. The number 3 looks like he's not going to make that left-handed turn onto pit road. And that is the case. He is going to stay out. So you see the rest of the lap down cars will make their way onto pit road and probably not be too happy about it. But, that's kind of what happens here in racing. Whitman playing the smart call to try to keep them off the lead lap as much as possible. And believe with that, we will get the 1 to go this time by.
Certainly so. So we'll see. We'll go ahead and give you your top 5 before we go back green flag racing. It's going to be Steven Whitman who will lead them to the green flag in that number 3 Chevrolet, followed by the 32 Ford of Sean Butler. Lucas Palesso will lead them in the 45, followed by the 818 of Ethan Quarter in 4th. Rounding out your top 5 is going to be the number 9, the 37 of Ryan Naraki.
Naraki running there. He will complete those cars that are running in the top 5. Garrett Conrath, Michael Friss, Tyler O'Neill, Kyle Riley, and Jack Painter, your top 10. With this series and with a couple of more, it is getting busy here at STN. We'll stay busy here tomorrow night, not on STN, but on the eRacer family of networks. The eRacer Roval Racing Series gets kicked off from a configuration that you probably haven't seen, the Roval at the old Texas Motor Speedway. So you can think back to the legacy configuration in 2008 that iRacing has, as well as the new one. We were racing on the Roval on the old course, so perhaps you get a little bit of education, because that is a very fun facility to run at, and should be a pretty good race. Multi-class NASCAR racing. You get the Cup cars, you get the Xfinity cars, and the trucks, all racing on one racetrack. That should be a fun one. That is 7 p.m. Eastern on eRacer social and Twitch pages. The HIP Motorsports Summer Sim Racing Championship round number 4 kicks off Tuesday night at 8:30 right here on STN at Michelin Raceway at Road Atlanta. And, of course, next week we'll be back for more at Michigan International Speedway for the Saturday Night Superspeedway League presented by STN. That one gets kicked off just as we did tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern next Friday night. So should be a fun one there as well. Lights are off on the pace car. We're double wide and ready to get going to the end of this one. Whitman, your race leader, as we're kind of in an awkward formation right now, but looks like I think we'll sort it out. I've never seen 2 wide work like this, but Butler already going straight to that BR line on this restart. And I'll tell you what, the top side's rolling here. Green flag in the air, and we'll see what they can do. Not going to be able to use the side draft from all the way up there, but perhaps it worked as Butler clears himself into the race lead.
Goodness gracious. Butler and Quarter will now race all way in the top two as they pull away. Quarter giving a big push to Butler down the back straightaway as they now pull about a 5/10 of a gap, now 2/10 of a gap race lead over Garrett Conrath, who gets a big push from Tyler O'Neill and Michael Frisch, while we see Steven Whitman, who is wondering what happened on this restart here. His strategy that he had just went out the window as he now sits in that third position as they come off a turn 4, but they're now catching back up to the back bumper of Ethan Quarter and Sean Butler as Conrath with a head of steam gets around to the outside of Ethan Quarter.
Well, we see this duo of two-car tandems form up, Butler and Quarter on the bottom, but Conrath and Tyler O'Neill really have it working right now. Is Conrath going to go into the race lead? And as soon as he gets the race lead, he'll say, "Thank you very much, Tyler O'Neill, for getting me there. I'm going to leave you." So O'Neill falling back from 4th to 5th, and he will finally slot in line here in front of Lucas Plussel, but Kyle Riley, head of steam on the outside. He's going to carry that momentum, try to use that side draft on the 99.
He certainly is going to try, but it's not going to work for Kyle Riley. He'll drop back in the line behind, looks like Lucas Plussel, along with Ryan Naraki in front of him or behind him as they come off of turn 4. Couple of cars checking up to try to make sure they get to the end of this race here as they come across the line. It will be 19 laps to go here at Talladega Superspeedway. Sean Butler giving a big push to Garrett Conrath to see if he can try to break away from Ethan Quarter and make it a 2-horse race.
Let's see if they can do that. Again, every driver here has one fast repair that they are able to use, so keep that in mind when we see a little bit of the regression level picking up in here inside 20 laps to go. That may very well be a cause. As you see, Kyle Riley, he peaked down beneath the yellow line to try make a move down there. Now Butler up and is loose as he threw the block on Quarter. Now Conrath nowhere to go. Butler will look to go high side, steal the race lead away, and Quarter look to go to the middle 3 wide for just a moment. He'll push Butler into the top spot, and now he wants more. He wants the race lead as they work in the tri-oval.
He's going to certainly get it as they come across the start-finish line. New race leader, Ethan Quarter. He'll slide in front of Sean Butler as they enter turn 1. A little bit of a checkup between your top 3 as Tyler O'Neill will lead that outside lane in the Skittles Toyota Camry as Sean Butler crosses over to the outside lane. Here comes Conrath to give Quarter a push. O'Neill to give Butler the push down the back straightaway.
And a nice job there. That was tight quarters when Ethan Quarter, no pun intended, went down there and blocked Sean Butler and cleared himself. That was very, very close between an accident happening there at the front of the field. But O'Neill and Butler getting away. Butler gets loose. O'Neill will slot himself down in line. An aggressive move there from O'Neill. Remember, O'Neill is the one who kind of tangled with Clint Roberts a little bit earlier in the race on a bad bump. So O'Neill, the aggressive pusher that we know he is, trying to help his buddy Sean Butler, who now retains the race lead. Quarter in second, or Quarter in third rather. They're side by side for 4th. Behind them, Lucas Plussel and Garrett Conrath.
How about Justin Malillo? He's now broken inside the top 10 after finally getting out of that slow draft pack that was towards the back half of the field early on. He's now inside 10th, now trying to drop in line on the bottom lane. He's got to get in front of the 18 of Jack Painter in order to hold on. But a great job for the Traxion GG Ford Mustang in that pink and neon green as here comes, looks like just Joshua Mendoza. He's pulling some brave and heroic moves as he's trying to get his way back on the lead lap.
He is, and so is Ethan Quarter. He wants to go to the race lead. Rockets around Sean Butler, takes the top spot away. And now Quarter will look in his mirror, 3 wide behind them. Conrath right in the middle, nowhere to go there in the middle. As he'll get some help from Michael Frisch, who drops on down, but Quarter now leading. They're 3 wide behind them. Butler and O'Neill now organized. Let's see what move they make on the 818.
How about 4 wide down the back straightaway? Now back to 3 wide as they enter turn 3 right now. Garrett Conrath and Michael Frisch having a great run up through the middle as they try to catch to the race leader. Joshua Mendoza will slot in front of Garrett Conrath, now in front of Kyle Riley. He wants to get back on the lead lap and hope and pray for a caution.
And how about Jack Painter there, who took a little bit of a spill through turns 3 and 4. He ended up collecting it, so no caution, but you saw that right there on your screen as they were 4 wide. Did not work out for Jack Painter. A little bit of damage for Dylan Nadwadny, as well as Tristan Hagenstein, who had already used that fast repair. So unfortunately for Hagenstein, not going to be able to fix that unless he goes to pit road and has to manually fix the damage. 15 laps to go, and the temperature has picked up here at Talladega. Single file through your top 5. And I say that, here comes Kyle Riley to the bottom. Mendoza doing all he can. Mind you, Josh Mendoza is 3 laps down. He's going to try to get to 2 and see if he can't find any way to get back into the hunt as he gets abandoned. But Mendoza shaking it up here with the race leaders. Frisch splitting the gap between he and Justin Malillo.
Talk about a hold on to your hats kind of moment right there for Michael Frisch, along with McAdams, who tried to just go from the bottom lane all the way up to the top side of the racetrack, coming through the front straightaway here. Now Garrett Conrath goes to the top side. He's going to get help from Michael Frisch as they go down the back straightaway, getting around Kyle Riley. They try to go battle Sean Butler and Tyler O'Neill for the race lead as they go down the back straightaway. They'll get help from Kevin McAdams as they work into turn 3.
Well, and I think this is the greatest contingency that we've seen, perhaps be able to go up and challenge your top 2. O'Neill will look to go high. He throws the block on Conrath. That gets them all out of sorts, and they're wrecking behind him. Caution flag is out. Tristan Hagenstein parked in the middle of 3 and 4. As it was actually he and Dylan Nadwadny way behind for 14th. Nadwadny was just trying to push him along, and Hagenstein got hooked in a bad spot. Caution is out.
The bad bump with strikes again here at Talladega Super Speedway. As we take a look at the bar visuals replay, there you'll see Nawandi just get the wrong part of the bumper to spin Tristan Hagenstein around. Tristan, our former champion and defending champion. A tough break here in the season opener.
Certainly is. Not a good going for Hagenstein, who's been on the wrong end of a couple of incidents here early on tonight. So he already used his fast repair earlier on, as we mentioned, and he is not going to be able to fix that thing up. That is some pretty significant damage, so he may just have to limp around and see what he can take home here in the waning laps, but not going to be a night to write home about for Tristan Hagenstein. You see the field right there. Can't imagine we may see drivers on pit road. We know tires don't really make much of a difference here. We'll see who wants them, or perhaps who just wants to go to the back and avoid potential chaos, but don't imagine that many drivers will make their way down pit road here. As a result of that caution, Clint Roberts will be the lucky dog, so he will be able to get back onto the lead lap. He's 1 lap down right now, and he will get back in the hunt. But Andrew Hardcastle is still 2 laps down. Joshua Mendoza still 3, and not a whole lot of time for them to try to make up those laps.
Certainly not the case right here for you, Blake, as we watch on and see who comes down pit road. And a couple of our leaders are coming down pit road. Tyler, well, they actually decided to pull a little bit of a slide job right there, but a couple towards the back half of the field decided to come down pit road to try and get some much-needed damage repair, or if they have that one fast repair, they will be able to do that. For those who may not know, fast repair is basically just a brand new car for them to go back out onto the racetrack without any of the severe damage.
It's an automatic fix. It takes, I think, an instantaneous fix, so that you're not even having to wait on it. But many of these drivers trying to save it as much as they could. I know Hardcastle, who was 2 laps down, he felt no need to save it. So he was running out there with damage. You can still see it on his race car. He thinks, well, why am I going to waste it? I need a lot to happen to get back onto the lead lap. So it'll definitely be okay if he is able to do that, get back on the lead lap and get back in this thing. He needs a little bit of help to have that happen. Needs, I guess, 2 more cautions without being involved in them before he would get back on the lead lap. But now that we've, Taylor, we've seen a lot of time of this race where everybody was single file, we're saving fuel, we're doing all that. Well, guess what? That's all out the window, and now we get down to the nitty-gritty. Inside 10 laps to go. don't think anybody's going to hold back here. I think this is where we'll see that aggressive style of racing. Guys are going to side draft each other hard. This is what the fans are watching this broadcast for. This is what they come to see, is these last 10 laps.
Certainly is going to be the case right now as we watch on here these final closing laps here at Talladega Superspeedway. The intensity level will continue to rise ever more so as we watch the pace car lead them through turns 3 and 4. The lights should go out this time around, and we'll be back underway here for the closing laps here for the first round of the FTF Superspeedway League.
Close it out here again. This is the first race of this series. We'll see who comes back, who wants to chase after this Saturday night Super Speedway League, except it's on Friday championship. We saw a great battle the first trip out, of the first season out, when these cars were racing at all different types of tracks. We saw different car combos. We were at Texas with Daytona prototypes. We saw a lot of different styles of racing, and it'll be fun to see what these drivers are capable of this season. Obviously, Tristan Hagenstein, as we've mentioned a time or two before, was your champion last season. And, of course, somebody else looking to take that title away this season with a brand new opportunity to do so. So lights will go off on the pace car. Will take the green flag right at that marker of 10 laps to go. When we think about potential overtime situations, we have the potential for 3 green-white checkers should we so need them. So that is something to keep in mind for these drivers. Just like NASCAR, 3 green-white checkered attempts here at these super speedways is what they'll attempt to do if we should need NASCAR overtime. So we'll have to see if that happens. But Taylor, I guess I'll ask you, we've seen a lot of exchanging, cars going back and forth. Who do you think's a good driver to keep our eye on as we close this thing out? Who's a good candidate to potentially win this race?
Ooh, that's a tough decision right there. I mean, you have Sean Butler, Tyler O'Neill, and Garrett Conrath, who've been the class of the field here tonight. But keep an eye on Justin Malillo. He's been quietly, patiently working his way up through the field. He currently sits in 5th position right now. So if he's able to play his cards right, he could come home with a win or a good podium finish here tonight.
We'll have to see if he's able to do it. I think there's a lot of names that you could point to in this field as somebody that could steal it, or perhaps, it is super speedway racing. An upset could very easily happen as well. So as they work out of turns 3 and 4, crowd on their feet here at Talladega as the pace car going to pull to the safety of pit road. We'll see if more of the same is going to happen here on this restart. We saw kind of a big split between the very bottom and very top. Butler, he's doing the exact opposite. He is pinching up that top line into the wall. So a very interesting call right there. He doesn't want to let him get away. Of course, Butler does have control of the restart, so he can go whenever he likes. He waits for the green flag. And Conrath out of shape. A couple of cars ducking out of line, but green flag is out. Butler and Frisch trying to tandem themselves away as they'll work into turn number 1.
Certainly the case right now is O'Neill and Conrath trying to get themselves organized. They have help from Stephen Whitman. They get a little bit loose through turns 1 and 2, but as they come rocketing off turn number 2, it is going to be Sean Butler who will then slide up in front of Tyler O'Neill. Will O'Neill cross over to the inside? Not quite yet as they work down the back straightaway heading into turn 3.
Butler watching that mirror, I'm sure, as O'Neill hooks up with him. Now O'Neill going to go to the bottom of the racetrack. Butler with no help. Tyler O'Neill to the lead. Butler going to use that side draft, but is not going to be able to overcome it. Where does Kyle Riley go? He's going to stay in line, and good news for Sean Butler. If Riley goes high there, not going to be fun to be that Pennzoil Ford for the next couple of seconds. But Butler will get picked up by Kyle Riley. Single file through your top 3. Then it's Frisch and Butler right there in that battle for the 4th position, and they're double wide behind them.
Double wide as they work through turns 1 and 2 as they come off of turn 2 down the back straightaway. Tyler O'Neill still holds on to the race lead. Now it's going to be a 4-car tandem to the inside lane with Sean Butler leading the outside lane with 4 cars. As they work down the Alabama Gang super stretch heading into turn 3, Butler dives to the inside lane. He'll be the 5th car in line. peeks out to try to slingshot around the 58 of Michael Frisch. Can't quite make it work because he doesn't have the momentum on his side, and he can't get to the inside lane because Lucas Plussel will now be holding to that 6th position.
Well, I'll tell you what, Butler trying to go one car at a time, used that side draft. He poked out, used it on Frisch, but unfortunately just didn't have the high line formed up quickly enough for him to try to make a move. So he'll try to regroup, keep Kyle with him. You see the side draft working on the 18 of Jack Painter right now. He's pulling him so far back. They're about 6 to 8 car lengths behind the battle for the top 6. Melillo will do the same. He goes to side draft Lucas Plussel up there for 5th, but likewise, Melillo no help. Nothing he can do. He has to slot back in line, try to build up that steam and try again.
If it was the older package, that would be a lot more easy and attainable, but due to the fact that just so much momentum is needed in order to propel yourself past your competitors, that is why you don't really see these drivers able to slingshot around the car in front of them. They have to have that needed push and help from the car behind them in order to make that work here as they come across the start-finish line. 7 laps to go here at Talladega.
Well, in that pack, the second one, rather, is able to pull right up to the back of Michael Frisch, and now they're wrecking in the back of the pack.
Early on, but unfortunately for the 818 Puff Zone Motorsports car, he is out of today's race, the first DNF tonight.
Unfortunate there for Ethan Quarter. Mendoza was running 3 laps down. Roberts on the lead lap, but we've seen it time and time again, especially with the nose of these Chevrolet Camaros being a little more pointed than perhaps the Toyota Camry or the Ford Mustang. It's a little bit easier if you get offset from that car directly in front of you to spin them right around. And you see the result right there. Tough hit for the 818. Sure, that's a lot of engine damage and nose damage right there for Ethan Quarter, so he decides to pull off the racetrack. Believe he may have already used his fast repair was the reason for that. So we go back under the caution flag, and what will be, at least what is scored right now, is 6 laps to go. They'll take 5 to go this time by. Don't imagine we'll get the green flag, though, or at least the 1 to go. Think we'll get the 2 to go this time by. Andrew Hardcastle will be the recipient of the lucky dog. He's been hanging on to that fast repair for dear life. If he gets one more caution, he will be back on the lead lap as the 18th car to do so. So 2 laps down right now. He just needs one more yellow. He's hoping, he's praying that he can do it, but also, Taylor, I think he may have just lost it because he's on pit road right now.
He certainly is. A very interesting situation and strategy call for some of these drivers here, so we'll have to see if that will work out for them, but as we see, the 20 is now on pit road. It looks like he got a fast repair as he now exits pit road quickly.
And actually, so I think what's going to happen here, because we did have an admin change to where this is going to be a quickie caution. So we did get the 1 to go. We had been getting the 2 to go for all of these cautions running the same length. So we get the 1 to go this time, and they're actually going to allow Hardcastle, since that was his only opportunity to come down pit road. He would have pit next time by on a regular lucky dog. They're just going to play a little bit of custom race control here and allow him to get that wave around and use that fast repair. But we did get the 1 to go this time by, so Hardcastle going to have to get on his horse and catch back up to the field. Believe he will be able to do so as they're in the middle of the Alabama game super stretch right now, pacing around at 70 miles an hour, and Hardcastle upwards of 170 miles an hour. So Hardcastle back to 1 lap down. Josh Mendoza is able to use his fast repair that he had left or in his back pocket. For now, still 3 laps down, but we get to try it once again here, Taylor. 4 to go is what we'll have when we take the green flag.
Yes, indeed. 4 laps to go for our race leaders here. Who will come out on top? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Talladega at its finest. We're about to see some great racing action here for the FTF. I don't know why we call it the Saturday Night Super Speedway League, but we do. And it's Friday night. But hey, we're going to have fun like it's Saturday night under the lights. But of course, we don't have lights here at Talladega, so might need to consider that. But the pace car makes the hard left turn out of harm's way, and we're about to go back at it.
We are. Pace car is off. 4 to go. When we get back to the stripe, Tyler O'Neill, Garrett Conrath, Steve Whitman, and Michael Frisch, your top 4. Behind them, Lucas Plussel and Justin Malillo right there hanging out in the 6th spot. Green flag is out, and O'Neill, this is an FTF League race we've seen in the past, especially in the GNS series. Lane changes could be an issue, and I think O'Neill did definitely cross over from the bottom to the top, so we'll see how that one is decided. Not an issue in this series is what I'm hearing from our director, so all good there for Tyler O'Neill as he gets linked up with Garrett Conrath. What a lead they've got now as they work down the back straightaway.
The only problem is that outside line's starting to get a little bit organized here as Michael Frisch comes with a head of steam. He has help from Justin Malillo and Kyle Riley as they work through turns 3 and 4. Here comes Steve Whitman along with help from Lucas Plessel. As they come off of turn 4, they're starting to gain up to the top 2. This is going to be interesting as they come to the start-finish line. 3 laps to go.
Well, and where do you want to be? Where are you going to block? We'll see. Conrath thought about making a move, but Frisch and Malillo just too much momentum there on the high side. The second lane starting to form side by side for the race lead. Frisch nearly gets turned across the nose of Justin Malillo, but he's able to hang on for it. Goes to the race lead. Malillo all over him. Conrath gets turned behind him.
Caution is out as Conrath is up in the air, lands back on all 4s. And I hate to say it, but I think his night will be done because he's already used his fast repair from earlier on. The number 9 Nexus Esports driver still rolling once again to head to pit road.
That is a tough luck there from Garrett Conrath, and I think it's a broken record. We've talked about bump drafts gone wrong time and time again. When you're that 3rd or 4th car in line, it is so difficult to gauge where that car in front of you is, and you see the end result right there. A bit of a checkup there from Conrath, who was trying to give a push to Tyler O'Neill and just gets a little bit out of line from where that was Stephen Whitman, who was directly behind them. He turns across the nose of the 3, end over end, right in front of Ryan Naraki. And oh, by the way, Taylor, I misspoke earlier when I said the 3 green white checkers. We got a potential 5 that we could use.
Oh joy! So this just makes things even more interesting here tonight as we see Conrath up and over, back on all 4 wheels, but hopefully we'll be able to only have to use 1 attempt of green-white checkered.
That's what we're hoping for, and I'm sure our director, who has to be up at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. tomorrow, I think that's what he would like to go for as well. But it does put Andrew Hardcastle back onto the lead lap, so nice job there for the 20 car. He's able to get back on the lead lap, get the little bit of stroke of luck that he needs, and might get back into this thing. Heck, don't forget Josh Mendoza. He's 3 laps down. If we use all of these attempts, even maybe he could get back onto the lead lap and have a crack at this thing.
He's pretty sure that he's hoping that will happen for him tonight as we keep an eye on Josh Mendoza. Of course, Andrew Hardcastle will get the lucky dog, as he should. He's now back to being 1 lap down.
He is, and we'll see what they decide to do. They'll turn the lights off on the pace car. So just like we saw under the running of the last caution flag, race control, the tower being a little quick right here as far as getting this race back underway. So we took the 2 to go. They said, guess what, pace car, you're taking the 1 to go right now. So lights are off. Andrew Hardcastle, I believe, will have to do the same as he did last time, as he will get the wave around here. We're not seeing him go around just yet. And it's pretty much the same spot that he got waved around last time. So imagine he'll be able to catch up to the field. He will be back on the lead lap, and they'll be able to sort it out. But up front, Michael Frisch, Justin Malillo, how about the shove that that 53 traction forward was able to give to Michael Frisch, puts him and slots him into the lead car on the outside line and puts him in prime position to try and go after a race win here this evening.
Certainly the case right now, as I believe the lights are out on the pace car. So we will get things ready to go once again here with the first attempt of green-white checkered. And it's going to be Frisch, Melillo, Riley, O'Neill, and Whitman, your top 5. So we're going to get ready for some exciting racing here to close it out.
Certainly should be exciting. See all the side draft, all the bumping, all the banging that we thought we would see when we come out to Talladega. We'll see that all come to fruition here in the next few minutes, hopefully. Again, if we have a crash here on this first lap of the restart, we'll rack them up, try them once again. If we get back to the white flag, we will see it through to the end. So Michael Frisch takes control of the field as pace car pulls onto the safety of pit lane. Frisch, Melillo, Riley, O'Neill, Whitman, your top 5. Let's see where they go from here. Riley all over the back of Michael Frisch, waiting to give him that go signal here on this restart. We've seen pretty much in lockstep, they'll wait until Barney waves the green flag, and they'll do the same here. Green flag is out. Green-white checkered attempt number 1.
Field getting lined up, full speed underway here as they work through turns 1 and 2. Michael Frisch on the inside, Melillo on the outside as the inside lane is starting to prevail as he has help from Kyle Riley in the 62. Out of turn 2, down the back straightaway here. Your top 3 are now going to be Frisch, Riley, as well as the 3 of Whitman.
And Riley looked to make a move there for just a moment, but thinks better of it. Stays in line with Michael Frisch. They'll work the 3 and 4 single file for your top 2. Riley looking for any way around. Will he have help if he tries to make a move on Michael Frisch? Stays in line and work off a turn 4. Single file through your top 3. Here comes Melillo with a little bit of a run. A big shove from Tyler O'Neill.
Big shove indeed, almost sent him around sideways as they come to the start-finish line. Melillo right there on the line as we now get 2 laps to go. Or actually, this is the white flag lap. Melillo is currently your race leader.
One car wrecking in the back is Josh Mendoza. Tyler O'Neill front of the field. Michael Frisch up into the wall. Tyler O'Neill up and over as they scatter around. They'll try to collect the battle for the race lead. Kyle Riley, Kevin McAdams, Stephen Whitman heading for turn 3.
Here comes Kyle Riley. He holds on to the race lead, but McAdam has the momentum. He will go to the outside. Here comes as well the 3 of Whitman off of turn 4.
Off of 4 for the final time. Kevin McAdams with a slight bit of an advantage. Here comes Whitman with the run on the outside. He and Riley get together. McAdams may have enough as Whitman and Riley go through the grass. Kevin McAdams is going to win the first round here at Talladega. Kevin McAdams, a wonderful drive there on the final lap. Started it all the way back in the 8th position. And he is your winner tonight in Alabama.
Wow. All I got to say is wow.
Unbelievable is Kevin McAdams. Don't think he led a lap all afternoon, Taylor, but he leads the last one and wins the epic Embed Fail 300. How in the world? How about Jacob Hitz, our broadcast partner, finishing in 2nd? Running in the back all day, finds a way to finish 2nd, but boy, we have a lot to dissect from the end of that race.
We certainly do. Let's take a look at that replay there, unfortunately. Justin Melillo almost had it looked like he had a shot at the bar visuals replay as it comes up. Just another case of the bad bumps as Tyler O'Neill gives him a bad bump in the middle of turns 1 and 2.
Well, O'Neill trying to do everything he could to try to go through the middle. And you're right, just gets Justin Melillo in the left rear quarter panel. That's enough to send him around. Michael Frisch, who was leading, is collected. Sean Butler was in it. And then, of course, we're still racing back to the line, so you had kind of a mix of everybody being scattered. You see Melillo there, wrecked race car. And is it really a 3-horse race for the lead? We'll take one more look at it here.
Yeah, here's on board with Jacob Hitz. As he's on board there, he'll go to the top side. Pray and hold on. Oh, there's a contact. He's able to survive it, though, and keep on trucking right along. As he watches the top 3 just pull away, he doesn't feel like he has a shot. As there, you'll see the battle for the race lead. Kyle Riley right there having a shot maybe, but here comes the momentum from McAdams, and the blocking and chaos ensues after.
Well, the difference is right here. Whitman kind of goes with McAdams. McAdams with the side draft, and Whitman right there. That decision to go to the high side pushes McAdams out ahead of Kyle Riley. McAdams breaks the draft. He and Riley get together. They may have had a chance. They may have had a crack at Kevin McAdams if they had formed up there, but it was just not enough. And Kevin McAdams is your winner tonight. Let's talk to him. I'm sure he's happy. Kevin, how in the world did that happen?
You know, I really don't know. This package, I don't have a lot of experience with it, so I really couldn't push well, and I couldn't lead well. So I pretty much just ran in the back the whole time. And it looked like, I guess, Tyler O'Neill turned Justin, and my first instinct was to do what I did in the firecracker and just throw it as low as I could on the apron. And that put me behind Whitman and Riley. And, you know... I was going to push Kyle and kind of let it settle out between us, but he started swerving because he was getting desperate, and I found myself in the lead out of turn 4, and that was pretty much all she wrote. I really don't know how I pulled that off.
Oh, looks like you and Riley had a pretty decent battle there, and of course you get the help from Whitman. He ends up pushing you to the win, but I think this really goes to show, Kevin, you never really know what's going to happen in these races. You look at yourself, Jacob hits, Dylan Adwani finishing in 4th. I mean, it was pretty much everybody who ran kind of that conservative strategy seemed to get a better final result here tonight.
Yeah, it seems like it's almost a lottery. Like, there's a couple guys that I can think of off the top of my head that the aggressiveness does seem to pan out. Cozy comes to mind. Sean, most of the time when he's aggressive, he ends up being up front. It's mostly feast or famine with him. Obviously, he ended up, I think, a lap down, and he obviously didn't have the result he wanted. But it's like I said, with this package, it's just so difficult to make up ground. So I feel like you just ride around as much as you can, keep the car safe, and keep it, scot-free. And I didn't have to worry about using my fast repair or anything. And we were there at the end, and somehow we pulled it out.
All right, Kevin, anybody want to give a shout out to?
Oh, FTF, I'm glad Zach is bringing this back. It's fun. I don't run a lot of the races because the combinations are kind of wonky, and I don't know. But otherwise, it's good to see this league come back. It's always fun. STN, eraser.gg, I know they're doing some stuff, so give them a look for their Roval series. I know that's coming up tomorrow. I know I think you're doing commentary for that as well, so I'll be tuning into that as well. Looks like it's going to be fun to watch.
Should be. Well, Kevin, we'll let you get out of here. Congratulations on winning round number 1.
Thanks for having us.
That'll be Kevin McAdams. Jacob hits. Taylor, I'm sure you're excited to talk to him. We talked to him a lot up here in the booth, and we get to talk to him now, finishing 2nd. I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, it certainly is, and that is Jacob hits. And Jacob, I was called Jacob a couple of times up in the booth, so we really must miss you up here in the booth. But a great finish coming home in 2nd place here tonight. Tell us how your race go in and the chaos that ensued coming to the checkered flag. And we got no mic on you, Jacob. Let's try again one more time. Nope. Looks like some technical difficulties right now for Jacob. So,
got you?
Yep. Well, now we got you. There we go. So, talk about your finish right there, Jacob, coming to the checkered.
Discord changed my default mic for some reason, but I had the broadcast on, so I heard Blake call me a couple of times throughout the race. But I thought with the heat, I was lucky enough to finish 6th because I haven't driven on iRacing in easily 6 months. So I 10 minutes before the race started, I was told that, hey, you should do this. Okay, so get in as a field filler, and I didn't know what I was doing in that heat. I was scared for my life, and the first 65 laps were pretty much the same deal. at the start, since we had a good spot, I was right around Butler. Him and I kind of teamed up there on that first 2 laps, and then I got scared and fell back. And I'm not used to this package. I'm used to you can get out of the gas, get back in the gas, and not lose too much time. With these things, you get out of the gas and you lose like 10 seconds. It takes forever to get these things wound back up. So I was having to adjust with that pretty much the rest of the race. With me getting caught up in that second pack for that first green flag run, I wasn't too worried about it because I knew that we were going to wreck. And, if we had pit stops, okay, great. We were still going to be in a decent enough spot. And then they kept wrecking and wrecking and wrecking. That second to last restart, I don't know what happened. All I know is I went from wherever I restarted to almost dead last. I was glad that they wrecked just because I had lost the draft and was back by like 3 seconds, so I had no chance. But then that last restart, I was surprised we made it to the white flag. And when I saw they were wrecking, I thought, well, they're already going up, so I'll stay to the high side. They'll come back down the racetrack, and we'll see what happens. And I never lifted. I saw Frisch get kicked back at the racetrack and figured, oh, that's it. Brushed the wall and net coated off of him, and I kept going, and I didn't feel like I lost too much speed or whatever, and was hoping that the top 3 would all take themselves out and it'd turn into the firecracker again, and basically I'd pull a cozy and somehow pull this out of my butt. But not all of them couldn't wreck. We were able to get at least second out of it. I wouldn't have had anything for him. Unless all 3 of them would have wrecked, just because the damage and everything would be hitting the wall and bouncing off Frisch, or bouncing through Frisch. It didn't have the power to make it there in time. So glad Kevin could win one. I don't have any sponsors. I don't have a team because I don't do this for a living. My butt belongs in the booth. So this is a one-off for me. I can't promise that I'll be back for any races, but second place certainly feels good because I was white-knuckling the steering wheel the whole race, scared for my life. I didn't know what the heck I was doing out there.
Oh, you need to come back and do Michigan. That would be even more fun. You got that momentum, and we hopefully look forward to seeing you back up here in the booth one day, and of course back out on the racetrack next week at Michigan.
Absolutely, guys. Take care.
That is Jacob Hitz coming home in second place. Blake has caught up with the final driver on the podium, driver of the number 45 Chevrolet, Lucas Plussel.
Hey, there we go. You got the name right. What's up?
Exactly. Well, Lucas, it's kind of an up and down day for you. Talk about it, because it seemed we were able to talk about you a fair amount, fall back, battle back, and of course, obviously there at the end, just absolute calamity ensued.
Yeah, I got really lucky there at the end. I will say, towards the beginning there, it was fun racing towards the front, and then you get shuffled back. And then luckily some guys like to race and go right back to the front again. And then you got the boring freight train towards the end, or towards the halfway point when we were all trying to pit there, which probably wasn't a great thing to commentate. But otherwise than that, the racing was really, really good over the first half of the race. And then just calamity ensued. That last restart, I saw them get all squirrely, and I decided, hey, I think maybe I should go low here. And then right when I did, they started wrecking by God. And for whatever reason, if you hold the apron here, for some reason, you can get through these wrecks. So I got really lucky there. I was fifth coming to the trial, and I still somehow got third. So that's just the way Talladega goes sometimes, I guess.
I guess so, but obviously a very solid start for you. You get a P3, starting the points in a good position. How do you think that bides you moving forward, trying to maybe put together a championship run here?
Oh yeah, I'm really excited because I really wanted to do a full schedule for this league this time around, because I wasn't able to last season. So it was really nice. I was trying to get my teammate Ethan Corder. We were up front there for a little bit. I was trying to get him the most laps led, get him some extra points. I wouldn't have mind getting myself a point here or there, but it was cool getting him some extra points there too. Get the puffer zone up front there, 1-2 for a while was pretty cool. But starting off strong like this is always good, especially with a league where it's super speedway racing. It's not all luck, but it's a lot of luck. So getting a good break starting off here will definitely help moving forward for sure.
Certainly will. We'll let you get to it, Lucas. Congratulations on P3 tonight.
Thank you very much. And hey, if you're looking for another racing league to go, the Eco Racing League racing on Thursday nights here. Don't be afraid to sign up. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. We'll direct them to that for those signups. We were talking about it during the race. But Taylor, I think it's Talladega. I think we weren't disappointed with what we saw tonight.
No, we certainly were not disappointed with what we just saw here tonight. And as we take a look at the unofficial results, but it's a very strong and exciting finish that we saw here with Kevin McAdams taking home the checkered flag.
Kevin McAdams, your winner. Jacob Hitz, obviously very excited in second. We talked to Lucas as well, who finishes in third. Dylan Adwadney kind of hung around in the back, ends up with a solid P4 finish. Fifth goes to Tyler Williams. Andrew Hardcastle was in sixth. Jack Painter seventh. Clint Roberts eighth. Ryan Naraki in ninth. Justin Malillo rounds out the top 10.
Tristan Hagenstein will come home in 11th, followed by Kyle Riley in the 12th position. 13th goes to Stephen Whitman, Garrett Conrath in 14th, Tyler O'Neill, the last car on the lead lap in 15th. Michael Frisch will come home, the first car one lap down in 16th. Sean Butler, 17th. Mike Campbell, 18th. Josh Mendoza, the Tough Break Award in the 19th spot with Ethan Quarter, did not finish in 20th.
Did not go very well for Ethan after using up that fast repair. But those are the 20 cars who came out to do battle tonight at Talladega. I want to remind you to come back next Friday night. Michigan will be the track that they tackle. Should be another fun one as well as we get another round of Saturday Night Super Speedway League, except it's on Friday action going here through the summer months. So from our broadcast partner, Taylor Burris, for Zach Johnson down in the virtual production trailer, my name is Blake McCandless, where we say so long from Talladega. We bid you farewell, and congratulations to tonight's winner here at the Talladega Super Speedway, Kevin McAdams. Until we see you next time.